locally. All right, I think that'll make it a little better quality if it's local. So, okay, so yeah, I'll just kind of do a little pause and I'll kick us off. And
Okay.
I've got that many notes to
Oh, nice.
and that's it, right? Like
Sure.
we're
Yeah.
just gonna kind of have fun and shoot from the hip. All right.
Sounds good.
All right, cool. Well, welcome everybody. This is Aaron Thompson, Chief Revenue Officer at Success Coaching. And as part of our Success Coaching in the Wild series, I am lucky enough to get to hang out with Jennifer Nasto today. Jennifer has an amazing story that I'm excited to hear from her, the background and how she made the leap into technology. We so oftentimes see people struggle to move from one industry into SaaS or even tech in general. Although customer success should be a very accessible way into technology, being it's not a technical role, and yet, person after person, I see struggle and run into walls. And Jennifer was able to do it almost unlike anyone I've ever seen. And so I was so happy to be able to have you join us. So Jennifer, welcome. Thanks for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me. It's exciting to be here.
A pleasure to have you. And so we've got a couple topics we're going to talk about over the next 20, 30 minutes or so. And the first is like maybe give us a little bit of your background. And then I think that leads into how you got into tech, or at least partially does so. So maybe tell us a little bit about yourself.
Awesome. So my background is as a licensed insurance agent. So I've been doing that for probably about the past 6, 7 years before making the transition into tech. And my story is a little unique, like Aaron said. So one night I was just scrolling on TikTok, believe it or not, and I came across this content creator who was talking about customer success. And I had never heard of that before. I didn't even know that this industry existed. And she was talking about transitional skills and just, the compensation that customer success managers are making. And it really appealed to me, right? So I wasn't necessarily looking for another job because I was very happy as an insurance agent. I love insurance. I love what I do. But, in the insurance industry, there's sometimes a ceiling to what you can earn. And I was kind of at that point in my career. And so, hearing this, content creator, Diana, talk about customer success just really just like ignited this fire in me to learn everything that I could about it. And so that's kind of how it began, all from a TikTok video. And so within a couple of days of that video, just researching everything that I could, she had mentioned success coaching. Obviously, I felt like having a leg up in customer success by having a certification was really important. And so signing up for the boot camp was something that I just immediately did. And the rest is history. I just, I just dove headfirst into really being a sponge and learning everything that I could about customer success. And so that's kind of where I started before even starting to apply for anything.
And so this was just happenstance that you stumbled upon. I want to give proper shout out to Diana DeJesus, who was this content creator. She's an absolute, icon of industry. She's all over LinkedIn and apparently TikTok. I'm too old for TikTok. So I've never seen any of the TikTok stuff. But so did you just stumble upon Diana's post about this, or were you?
I did. So on TikTok, there's a For You page, and that's where it's kind of like your news feed. And so the algorithm kind of learns what you like, and sometimes it'll throw random things in your news feed. And her video just happened to be something very random. And like I said, it wasn't even something that was like on my mind as far as like, looking for another job or changing careers necessarily. But, it was just kind of the right time of seeing it. And, the compensation appealed to me, just the whole essence of what customer success management is. It's like, wait, I'm already kind of doing that as an insurance agent. It's just a little bit different, right? So naturally it made sense. She was talking about, like I said, transitional skills. And so, when you're applying for roles in technology, to kind of go in the same industry of what you're currently doing. So it made sense for me to start applying to some insurtech companies. And it just so happened that one of the largest insurtech companies out there called me back. So, and like my first or second round of interviews was the week that I was already attending boot camp. So it was just perfect timing for for that to happen. So
yeah. And you talked earlier about sort of like the happenstance, the universe aligns,
yeah,
etc. But I think you had to be properly prepared and had put yourself in a situation for Zywave to call you back. And we can
yeah,
use the company name. We're gonna walk through
sure.
sort of a make-believe success plan here in a second as well. But so that background in insurance technology,
Hmm.
you had been their customer in the past.
Yes.
And you then learned there's this role of the CSM, and you started exploring that. You took our boot camp in March,
Hmm.
and then in that process is where you were also going through the application and
Hmm.
actually applying with Zywave. So maybe help me understand sort of what was it about. I can understand your background as a insurance agent being applicable
Hmm.
because you've been the customer. Makes
Right.
total sense to me. But on the CS side, you said you had been doing a lot of this stuff as an agent,
Hmm.
kind of as an account manager role, et cetera. So, what were some of those things that you had been doing that were transferable, applicable
Sure.
experience into that CSM role?
So, as an insurance agent, you're doing account reviews essentially, right? Especially like with your commercial clients, right? And I worked for several different kinds of independent agencies. So I've worked for larger agencies, smaller agencies, and when you purchase auto and home insurance from your agent, typically you'll hear from your agent at renewal time, and they'll review your policy with you. So those type of things are already happening on a day-to-day basis, and just everything concerned with the the post sale customer life cycle is something that I'm passionate about. And so I tailored my resume to highlight some of those things that I was already doing. I also, I not only was I an account manager, but I was also previously in sales, and just highlighting just my well-rounded, I guess, skill set, right? So just tailoring it to things that I felt would appeal to them, to the position, and for them to kind of consider somebody like me who didn't necessarily have customer success experience, but had the insurance background and just the capability to like have that grit to learn. And that's what I did. And I know cover letters are a little bit old school in some opinions. It's kind of like a polarized opinion, but I just wrote a really great cover letter, and I just um I didn't do it the traditional way. I just was kind of myself in that cover letter, and I was honest, like that I was transitioning industries, and I just think that that resonated with the recruiter. In fact, I had originally applied for their digital CSM uh, position, just because it was kind of I don't want to say entry level, but just it was just the digital. There's like 4 different teams. So and during the interview process, she goes, well, you have account management experience, you'd actually be great for our mid-market team. So I really feel like just tailoring your resume like that, and just having a really strong cover letter, and just being able to express who you are and what you bring to the table, that changed my life completely. Like I was never expecting for the recruiter to basically suggest me for a more I don't know, just a better CSM role. So that was just surprising, and it would change my life, especially as a single mom. So uh, I have no regrets changing careers. So
Well, absolutely. Looking back on it like this, I don't blame you. So
right.
when you talk about tailoring your resume, I get that question a ton. And people will ask me if there's resources out there available. And we've got a blog and we've got some articles written around kind of that translation process
Hmm.
from what I've been doing to customer success terminology and
Yep.
applicable experience, right? Did you find any resources out there that were helpful, or how did you
Yeah.
go about that tailoring process?
So Diana actually has like a small little ebook that she put together specifically for people that are transitioning into technology, specifically for CSMs. Best $19 I've ever spent. And so she kind of walks you through, gives you some advice and some pointers on how to tailor the resume. And like I said, just highlighting like, if you're doing whatever role that you're in, if you're doing kind of like an account review type of thing, that's something that you can highlight on your resume. If you are presenting to clients or have any type of presentation aspects to your job, that's something else that you can highlight, because as CSMs, you're presenting, you're in video, you're presenting, you're talking to clients every day. So just really, like I said, tailoring that resume to those specific skill sets. I mean, I did a lot of homework of just the definitions of CS, what to expect. I mean, I literally went in blind, right? So the success coaching was really instrumental in really gaining like that understanding of what a CSM does,
Mm.
the common like metrics and all of that, and then like how to do, the success plans and the EBRs and all that
Yeah.
good stuff. So
Yeah, that's actually a good point. Something I haven't really thought of necessarily. The order really matters.
mhm,
I can't translate what I've done in my experience into the CS world if I don't know what the CS world is.
right.
And so you took the course and you were actually in the boot camp, kind of going through the foundational components of being a CSM.
Mhm,
And then during that and after that, you can look at your past experience and say, okay, how can I translate this? How can I tailor it?
yeah,
But if you don't really know, if you hadn't taken the CSM certification course, you wouldn't have known what to translate it into. Would you agree with that?
exactly. 100%. And, you know, Zywave just coincidentally was already putting their CSMs through level 1, and now it's a requirement of the job. So it was like perfect timing. It was something that I was able to immediately highlight, like on my resume, on my, during my interview process, and it just showed like in the feedback that I received was that it was just very proactive, and so doing, taking steps even before you're a CSM to just show that you're engaged and, that you're taking steps for your own personal development just goes a long way.
Yeah, and
So
really to understand the industry that you're looking to get into,
for sure.
at least at that foundational component.
Yeah.
The thing about customer success that's, I think, a little, not, I shouldn't say I think, I know is unique compared to sales or marketing, even product and engineering.
Mhm.
Nobody goes to school. I shouldn't say nobody because some people do now, but very few people in history have gone to school and obtained a customer success degree.
Right.
Didn't exist. It's starting to at USF, and I'm doing some stuff at Portland State. But typically speaking, it's not like, you go get a marketing degree, a business degree, a engineering degree,
Yep.
whatever the thing might be. And so we all had to find it somehow, some way. Nobody was
Exactly.
born in this industry. Yet people like yourself take that additional step to really learn the lay of the land before trying to translate and jump in.
Yep.
And it sounds like that was a big help for you in that sort of tailoring, as you put it.
Mhm. It was, and bringing up the degree, right? So, I have no shame in saying this. I don't have a college degree, and I probably have equivalent work experience, right? So, surprisingly, you don't necessarily need that for to be a CS. I mean, some companies require it, but a lot of it is like your work experience, really. And not to put down anybody that has a degree. I think it's great, but just for me, that my path wasn't to have one, and to be able to break into this type of role. And when you research the compensation levels and whatnot, like it's just very appealing, especially like, and it's just for my own personal self and just as a single mom to be able to tell my kids like, hey, this is like my journey of where I've taken my career. It's pretty incredible to be able to just to say personally. So
It's not, you should be proud of yourself, and I'd be patting you on the back if we weren't on Zoom. So let's talk a little bit. So that kind of gives us a little background of your experience in the insurance industry.
mhm,
Obviously, that experience is unique in that you do have renewals. To your point earlier,
right.
it is an account management type of function, especially at that kind of smaller insurance brokerage
Yep.
level. And so you were in that world, and then coincidentally, well, maybe not coincidentally, intentionally, I think you
Intentionally.
sought out SaaS companies who sell to that world
I
based
did.
on some of the advice from Diana, which I think is spot on advice.
Mhm.
And then you find Zywave. So help us understand what Zywave does, and then I think we can kind of walk through and better understand how your experience was so applicable for a CS role at that particular company.
Sure. So Zywave is one of the largest or the largest insurtech company in the industry. And we have like over 30 different SaaS products for insurance agents. So basically the tools that they need to run their business, right? So it's it's basically helping insurance agencies grow through technology. So when you're getting a quote from an agent, or you're getting like auto and home, or you're getting employee benefits quotes, a lot of times these independent agents are using the Zywave tools, right? If you're getting email marketing campaigns from your agent and you're getting really good content pieces, that's coming most likely from Zywave. So, that's really in a nutshell what we do. And just being, having an insurance agency background, being an agent myself, working with agents or for agents that have used Zywave and agents that haven't, just really being able to speak to the benefit of technology, especially to some of those smaller agencies that are still like in the dinosaur age and using paper files. Zywave can really transform their business. So it just made sense, like the transition from being an agent to now on the technology side. I just absolutely love it. So,
and having like lived those pains of that industry and really
yes,
understanding the desired outcomes that someone could accomplish and achieve through the 30 plus apps in the Zywave solution.
exactly.
Right? Yeah. And so Zywave is in this insurance world. And then in your interview process, or maybe with the recruiter before you even got to the hiring manager, somehow, some way, the certification came up, and the fact that they were actually putting. So help me understand how that kind of played out.
Sure.
And then let's talk about what the requirements are to become a Zywave CSM, because I obviously love to hear that.
Sure. So Zywave had like a 3-step interview process. So first you're talking to the internal recruiter, right? They're kind of screening you. It's usually a short half-hour call, and they're kind of screening you just to verify what you have on your resume, just to kind of just have a conversation with you, right? There were some situational questions that were asked. I don't remember the specifics because it's kind of all a blur. I was just excited to like get an interview, but just some situational questions. But mostly, I mean, it was just my background, and she was really impressed, like I said, with already going through the certification process and just being proactive with my professional development. So once I made it past the recruiter, it was, direct half-hour interview with the hiring manager, and she and I clicked like immediately. It was just one of those like right place, right time, right people. And it was, again, some situational questions, but really just kind of diving into my background. And she was very open, and it didn't, I don't know, I think not necessarily coming from a CS background wasn't too much of a concern because I had that strong insurance background. So, and I just made it very clear, like I'm, a quick learner. Learning new technology doesn't scare me. And just, I think, again, talking about the certification that came up in that process, and just talking about like, that's when she had brought up that it was kind of a requirement now for the CS department. So they were going through it at the time I was interviewing, which is perfect. And yeah, and then the third interview was like a day in the life. So I got to meet a couple of different colleagues and basically was asking them questions. So the whole point of that was me coming with good questions. And part of being a good CSM is asking really great questions, right?
Totally.
Not just surface level questions, but like 3 layers deep kind of a question. So it was about a half hour, and it was just really nice to pick their brains a little bit about what to expect. And yeah, it was great. So the interview process was probably about 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Which
it
is,
was
I
great.
mean, give Zywave credit. A
Yes.
lot of times people can't get into industry because it takes 2 weeks for a response to come back from the hiring manager, the
Yeah.
recruiter, or whoever's next in the process. I mean, I've been there, been
Yeah.
on unemployment a few times in my adult life, and
Yeah.
I mean, just a quick caveat, I became an entrepreneur because I had so much time to kill,
Yeah.
because I'd email a hiring manager and I knew I had at least a week before they were going to get back to me, sometimes more. And so I'm like, well, I might as well go do this as a contractor while I'm waiting. And then, now 7 years later, whatever it is, the rest is history, because it's so slow. So give Zywave credit for actually
For
being
sure.
on the ball to keep us going. But I think you said earlier that it was about a 30-day transition for you.
Yeah. So from the time that I stumbled upon the TikTok to the time that I, basically got that offer letter, it was about a month. So it was like the beginning of March that I that I was just scrolling on TikTok one night, and then April 18th is when I started at Zywave. So, and I will say they do have a really transparent. It was probably the best interview process I've ever been on, just comparing like past interviews or past employers, and very transparent, very upfront, knew what to expect. So And like the recruiter, was kind of advocating for me too, which was great. So, yeah, no complaints there. All credit to their hiring process for sure.
The 30-day transition into tech is just unbelievable. I've been
Yeah,
working with so many people. Our mission at Success Coaching, help people get into and thrive within the CS industry. So I'm trying to help people every which way I can think of to do
for
this.
sure.
And it just so oftentimes is such a, at the very least, much longer experience. And sometimes it's harder than it seems like it should be.
Mhm.
But anyway, I digress. I was so impressed, and how this conversation all started was we crossed paths, and you're like, "Hey, I just wanted to let you know that like I got in and it worked." And
Yeah,
I was
it
like,
changed
"Let's
my life.
talk," because that never happened. Like for it to be 30 days like that, it's just an amazing pivot in one's career. So congratulations to you.
Thank you.
Super impressive.
Thanks.
All right, so now let's talk a little bit about the tools and stuff.
Sure.
This is success coaching in the wild, and we know that Zywave is using a lot of the success coaching intellectual property and tools that we teach. First off, I'm going to just kind of start by showing the out of the box success plan canvas,
Sure.
which is part of our level 1. And then I think once I can kind of walk through this quickly, we'll take a look at the one that you've got, which is Dunder Mifflin and obviously kind of dummied up, which is great.
Yeah.
Thank you. Don't want to get anybody in trouble here. But let's see. I think this will work, I hope. You seeing that success plan canvas there?
Yes.
Coming
Yes.
through okay? All right, cool. So this is the out of the box one. This is what was included in level 1. And you took this in CCSM 104 as part of that boot camp. 7 boxes in totality. We've got the company highlights, very basic sort of overview of the company, maybe a little bit about where they're based and how many people they have, what's going on, how we ended up in their life. And then you have the objectives, and those are really the desired outcomes that they want to achieve. So it's not what they bought, it's what they want to use it for, and what are the pains we're looking to solve, and things that we're helping them achieve. And so I like to look at it. There's 4 boxes here that kind of get confusing. And so I'm going to jump around a little bit. Objectives is what they want. Benefits right there is why they want it. The success criteria is how they know they got it. And then the measures of success is the KPIs and metrics that we're going to use to prove it. So then from there, we kind of back into just perceived anticipated challenges, and then milestones, actions, and dates. That's what's coming next, etc. And we've got examples of this. This is a free tool that people can download on successcoaching.co. Under the resources, there's an instruction manual. We've had case studies done on it and all sorts of stuff. We've taught this to over 10,000 people worldwide by this point, and everybody uses it a little different. And that's what I love about this Success Coaching in the Wild series that I'm doing here, is I get to speak with people just like yourself and get to see how you've taken it, changed it, what you've added or removed, etc., and what it looks like in the wild in your real world. So if you're willing and able, Jennifer, let's take a look at how Zywave has taken what I just showed and then translated it into your own business.
Sure. So when I came on board, like I said, the team was going through the level 1 certification, right? So and Zywave was really building out their customer success department. And so back in the summer, we there was kind of a small group of us that was, that were collaborating, and each of us had different roles on this collaboration team of coming up with the success plan and process, right? And so my role was like, hey guys, we just went through success coaching. They provided us this really great template. Let me see what I can do, brand it to Zywave. And so I did. So let me just share my screen and show you here. And can you see my screen?
Yeah, looks great.
Awesome. So yeah, so this is what we did. And so this is kind of the template that the CSMs use, for customer facing, document, right? So we did it in PowerPoint, and pretty much all of the same, placeholders that, the original template had, but put, our own little branding flair on it, right? So how we do it is, we're as you're working with insurance agencies, right? You're already asking them a lot of questions. We're already running really great discovery with our partners. And so, part of this can already be filled out by the information that we know. And then it's really, meeting with the client and going over it and basically saying, hey, here's where we're at. Where do you want to be? And so how we kind of do it, because we have so many SaaS products in our toolbox, we kind of break it up by quarter. So it gives the agencies, kind of confidence in what they're working on and something that's achievable over a 3-month period that their whole team can get on board with. So um, I feel like the success coaching template was like invaluable to not just, for learning purposes, but to actually like use it, in like you said, in the wild, right? So
Yeah.
this is what we're doing.
And so is this the actual template that you start from? Because I see like placeholder text about the
Yep.
agency.
This is basically like a PowerPoint. So these are placeholders that are editable. So, obviously these are placeholders to kind of give, your roadmaps. You're not reinventing the wheel every time. And then you just add your objectives, you add your, KPIs, and as you're building it out with the client. So a lot of times, like the company highlights will have filled out, some of this stuff will have filled out. Like when I did even my first success plan with a partner, a lot of things we had already talked about in previous meetings. So it's kind of easy to fill out ahead of time, right? And so we worked on like the milestones, the dates, the KPIs, all that kind of stuff together. So this has been great and an invaluable tool for me and for the whole team. So.
And so how widespread is this now at Xywave? Does every customer have a partner success plan?
We're trying to work up to that. Like I said, we've just built out our CS team. So like for mid-market, like I'm responsible for about 85 to 90 accounts. So, and it depends on like what products they have, right? So, we've kind of done it for like our top, I guess our larger clients in our book, or they're kind of letting us use our best judgment for now. But I know going into the new year, there's going to be more. The goal is obviously for all of our partners to have a success plan in place. So.
Yeah, perfect. And so let's see, there we go. I think I can do that.
Oh.
There we got you back full screen. So at what point in the customer life cycle do you start the success planning function or motion?
So for me being new to my book of business, the first type of meetings that we have obviously is like a meet and greet meeting, just so that we can get introduced and whatnot. But a lot of times those meetings end up turning into really good discovery sessions, and I can kind of, you kind of use your best judgment, right? A lot of times, usually after that meet and greet, I've kind of gotten a feel for how that agency operates, and sometimes they want to just like dive into like, okay, let's what do we have to do? We have a tool called Client Portal, and so that's like a really big tool that a lot of agencies use, and it's to give their clients like kind of like a self-service portal for like their HR and compliance needs. And so agents think that it's great, but sometimes they either don't use it or they just get busy and whatnot, so they kind of need like a relaunch. And so sometimes I'll have that conversation at the second meeting. I mean, like it's just kind of been like organically happening, but I don't really have like a like a solid answer. I think it's just with insurance agencies, you kind of just gauge what they have, what their needs are, and kind of go from there. I've tried to implement the success plans pretty immediate though, just so we start off on the right foot and we kind of have a direction of where we're going. So
Yeah. So as they're coming on as a net new customer early in that life cycle, probably not pre-sale introduction of the
right.
success plan. It's always it's after post-sale.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's a very common place for it to live or to get started, I should say. And then you've obviously got it built there in PowerPoint. You can share that out internally, externally. What's been the response of your customers since introducing this? Because I would imagine, have had a number of customers who have been customers and probably renewed and expanded and did whatever. And now you brought this new canvas to them. How have they reacted to it?
Well, insurance agents love seeing their logo on anything. So it's very easy to impress them. No, but I will say the feedback has been great. Again, this is something new that we've like implemented at Xywave. So the feedback with my partners has been great, I think, across the departments. I think they appreciate just having a roadmap, having somebody that they can bounce ideas off of and best practices and just kind of like, be accountable, right? So just being that resource for them. They've just been really impressed with just the process and like just the level of, I guess, care and concern and just, that we're kind of partnering together. So.
And then how often do you revisit it to update it? And is it totally variable, completely up to the?
Yeah, I guess it depends on the client, but for me, the ones that I've like implemented this with, it's quarterly typically. So just because the insurance cycle, depending on what kind of an agency they are, there's different times of year where it's a busy season for them. So we're kind of mindful about that when we're setting like quarterly goals, but quarterly's been working out pretty well. So
Yeah, excellent. So any pointers to anyone, any brand new success coaching graduates out there who are looking to roll out a success plan canvas? What advice might you give them as they look to try to implement this into their own wild, if you will?
really understanding your client's business, and having really good discovery conversations with them so that it's not like you're presenting them with a blank canvas, right? And you're kind of bumbling through it. It should be just like a natural part of like the relationship, a natural part of the conversation. So that's my advice. Just really going there confidently and just knowing their business so that you can ask those 2-3 layer type questions, and really build out a plan that is customized to them and what works and for them and their business goals. So
yeah, so more of a conversation, less of a presentation.
yes, very
Yeah,
much.
use that canvas as a conversational tool, a thing to kind of circle around, but not
Sure.
like a bunch of PowerPoint slides
Exactly.
stuff.
That's why there's only one on there. It's just
Yeah,
the one-page success plan.
that's the idea. We like it to be one page, but as I have
Exactly.
been interviewing folks about for this in the wild, I've found it to be 2 pages. The first interview I did, she was like, I'm so sorry, you're going to kill me, but it's 2 pages. Here's why. And I was like, I'm not, this is just a way to do it. It's
Yep.
a proven way. And it's very effective. It's been effective for us. We use it in our own business, and our clients have been using it for years now. But we're not trying to say this is gospel and this is the
Right.
only. I
But it
just
just, I mean, it's a nice roadmap. I mean, you're not going to remember everything, and it's literally like simple, and you can easily move along on the template to cover the points that you need to cover. So
yeah.
I love it.
And can people internally access it? Do you upload it to
We
like
do. So we use
SharePoint?
Showpad
Oh, yeah, that's right.
internally, and then we can also share that out to clients. I like to use Showpad because I can tell if, my client's not just saying, oh, yeah, I'll take a look at that, and I can actually see if they are. So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
nice.
Shout out to another success coaching customer, Showpad.
Yeah.
That's an awesome use case for their product because that's kind of what it does is like
Yeah,
keeps everybody on the same PowerPoint version.
for sure.
That's one of the use cases. And you can take our stuff, build it in there, use Showpad to push it out, external, internal, sharing it, and away you go. I love that. That's awesome.
Exactly.
Okay, so any other tips or tricks that you would give anyone? I've got kind of 4 main sort of summarization statements or points, bullet points
Sure.
that I caught based on your story. And I'll ask you to confirm that yes, these are right, or correct that they're not.
Sure.
But before I do those 4, do you have any sort of parting thoughts or final tips and tricks for folks?
I would say, just really focusing on your personal development is huge, especially anytime you're transitioning careers. And like taking that success coaching certification is huge if you want to break into CS. So to anybody new out there, that's what I would recommend. And then just really just be confident in your skills and what you bring to the table, and make sure that you showcase that during your interview process, and ask good questions.
Ask good questions.
Yes.
That's a tricky part. Okay, so here's the 4 things that when I look at you and the amazing feat that you've accomplished, getting into tech in 30 days or less, right? You could write a
Crazy.
book on it now. First off, and these are all ideal situations, right? If I can make it an ideal situation, first and foremost, I want to be my customer. I
Yes.
want to have lived that life and been on the other side of it and walked in those shoes. Then I want to get educated around customer success. So I already know the domain from that first bullet point. Now I need to learn about the customer success industry, and I can go get educated somehow, some way to really learn what this thing is. Then I can translate my experience in the said domain into the customer success terminology, vernacular, and world. And then the last thing that I don't think we really touched on, but I picked up on it. You were, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, targeted with your application process. You weren't spraying it out everywhere and trying to use things like Indeed or whatever that'll just like auto apply everywhere for me. You were really targeted based on your experience level, based on your understanding of CS and that translation you had made. You had a set of companies that would be realistic targets for you to come in and really add value. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. I was very strategic in only applying for insurtech companies. I had an interview with like a startup company for just like it was customer success associate, right? So it's kind of more entry level, I would say. And so I had an interview with them, and then Zywave called me. But I probably sent out, gosh, I don't even remember how many resumes I sent out or how many things I applied to, but I really like pounded the pavement for like a good like week or two, and then like the rest is history. But yeah, for sure, I was very strategic. I didn't just search for customer success and just apply for like all these crazy companies. I had no idea what the industry was like. So yeah, definitely be very strategic with where you're applying to when you're first starting out. So
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's where we see a lot of mistakes made is people look for who's hiring for customer success,
yeah,
not which companies have customers that I've either been or understand really well, and thus would be a better candidate once I learn the CS in this industry
exactly.
discipline. So kudos to you, Jennifer. Thanks again so much for hanging out with me and chatting through this experience. Like I said, it's you should write a book. And shout out to Diana, shout out
Yes.
to Showpad, shout out to Zywave. And I look forward to seeing you and the rest of your colleagues, hopefully in future classes. Thanks again. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Take care.